In fact, the first airplanes did not even have rudders. The Wright, the Wright brothers used a warping technique that actually just moved the airplane roll. Now, when you roll an airplane, it will turn in the direction of the roll, but it will start dropping off. Okay, so what you need to do is do what's called a coordinated turn. As it starts dropping down, then what you do is you use the rudder. See that? The rudder will then
straighten it up.
End up making it. Now that I'm in this axis, the rudder will actually. It's the same thing as doing this, but you see like that. So you put a little bit of rudder in, and as it comes around, you put a little bit of yoke in the pitch. So that's what's called a coordinated turn. And that's what an airplane does in order to, every airplane has these controls that control all these different aspects of the plane. This is a throttle quadrant, the throttle here, and this is a what's called a flap control, which you never have to worry about as student pilots. And then this is called a mixture. It's the mixture of air to fuel. You have other controls here. These are controlled things like your master switches, your pump, strobes, that kind of thing. Here's the landing gear up and down. But let me just demonstrate what I'm talking about. Oh, okay. So these instruments, what I'm going to do is get out of the pause mode, and I'm going to show you basically. We're not going to do any navigation or anything, but right now I'm just going to show you. Please, Brian, if you want to sit down there. So the airplane now let's just see. Here's roll, and you see how it comes down, right? So even though I'm changing even though my wings, a little bit of roll is good, but you see that if I roll here, it starts dropping. So now I bring it up a little bit, and now I bring my elevator up, and then the airplane will just turn. As I was telling Thomas last week, an airplane is really, airplanes will, you have what's called control input, and you don't do this. You don't fly the plane like this. If you do this, you're gonna crash. Okay? Yeah. It's not a car. Okay? It's not a car. You're not gonna fly it like this, right?
Right.
What you have to do is you have to put in small controlled inputs. Look at how I'm controlling this plane. Okay? Just small increment. Look, and you see how good this simulator is? You can actually see the shadows of the sun. Like you really would in an airplane.
Yeah.
And there's even little smudge marks here on the windshield, right? All right, so now I'm just gonna go straight and level. I'm gonna give it a little bit of throttle, and you can hear when I give a little bit of throttle, what happens is there's more wind going over the wings, and the airplane naturally starts to rise. If I take the throttle off, then the nose will start to drop. Now I can use the elevator. See that? I can use the elevator to keep the plane pretty much steady. So this is if I want to increase my speed, but I want to stay at the same altitude, then I want to keep my nose down or a little bit, or I do what's called a trim. Okay? So now that's how I'm increasing the speed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slow it down a little bit, and I'm going to demonstrate this for you. This rudder, see,
left and right.
is left and right. Yaw. Look at that. See that? So the airplane is pretty steady. It's just going left and right. Look at that. See? Left and right. Right rudder. Left rudder. Okay? Now, the control yoke showing my pitch. When I push down, the nose goes down, and when I bring it up, the nose goes up. Okay? So what you're doing is always a combination, and you can see how these instruments show us. I'm going up, and this is my altimeter. It's saying I'm now going up to 3,000 feet, and I'm going, and this is what's called the vertical speed indicator, telling me how many feet per second I'm going up. And when I'm going up, I want to put my throttle up. So I'm kind of going up a hill here, and I'm going at 1,000 feet per second, and I'm at per minute, and you can see that indicator there showing me that I'm actually increasing in speed. Now you heard that sound? That was me stalling. I don't have enough thrust at that I don't have enough velocity to go up higher. And you can see the speed indicator, it's called the airspeed indicator here, going up and down. So it's a combination of getting the right amount of vertical speed without stalling the airplane. Let me just explain that. An airplane will stall. The airplane actually has about a 2-degree angle. So the wind is coming like this, and the airplane, if it has at least 2 degrees of wind going over the wing, it will actually produce lift. That's how an airplane works. Now, that means an airplane can actually go upside down, right? Airplanes have no problem going upside down as long as the wind is 2 degrees. Now, see, that's going to produce lift, but it's lift like this, right? Instead of like this, because of the shape of the airfoil. So what I do is I can fly upside down, but I have to use my elevator to keep the nose from going down like that, right? So everything is a delicate balance. And these indicators, the airspeed I just talked about, this is my altimeter telling me how far I am from the ground. It's not AGL, above ground level, but it's an altimeter that tells me how basically the barometric pressure. And barometric pressure is an expression of altitude, because air molecules are thinner as you go higher. But this gives you an indication of where you are above sea level. And it can be different from what you show on the ground, so you have to have a pretty good idea of where you're flying. This is the vertical speed indicator telling me how fast I'm going up, maybe 500 feet per minute, 1,000 feet per minute, and going down, and so on. These other two instruments are really important. This one is called a turn coordinator. So what you want to do is you want to keep that turn coordinator centered. It's like a level when you're trying to do woodwork, right? But or trying to find something that's straight and level. So the turn indicator, when I turn, this thing is going to tell me if I'm actually turning in a coordinated way or not. So I'm going to do a coordinated turn, and you'll see I'll demonstrate that. And this one here is what's called a card compass. It tells you, basically, see, this is where, it tells you where north is. The north is over here, west is over here, south is there, and that's your compass. So I'll demonstrate.
You're flying a Cessna here?
Yeah.
And you're flying from Lakeport to
Yeah, I'm flying around Ukiah now.
Okay, Ukiah.
And you can see this moving map display.
So
it shows me
far
that
from Ukiah to
from Lamson Field to Ukiah, it only takes 8 minutes.
Oh wow, that's fast.
Yeah,
Okay, saves
yeah.
a lot of time.
When you're driving, how long?
Oh, that's like,
30.
I don't know, almost an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
8 minutes. Wow.
So let me show you. I'll demonstrate some more of how the plane actually works.
I feel like I'll probably learn faster once I just fly it. And
Yeah.
then learn everything afterwards.
Well, it
Nothing.
really depends.
Yeah.
So here's my turn coordinator. Watch, I'm going to start a turn, and when I'm doing that turn, I want to keep it around there, and you see it's coordinated, because that thing is, it tells me. It says you are in a coordinated turn, and all I have to do is just keep my wings level. See that? That's pretty good. It's a coordinated turn. Now I'm going to go outside of the coordination and watch what happens. Now the plane is now going way down. It's not coordinated. Oh, I forgot to tell you. This right here is called my artificial horizon indicator. So you see how this tells me I'm straight and level. Okay. This tells me I'm above the horizon. See, this says
I see.
I can look at that, and I can look at my airspeed indicator going down. I can look at my altimeter going up and my vertical speed indicator, and that tells me that says I'm level, and you'll see that there's no more altitude gain. Okay. Now I'm going to go down, and you can see that that's showing me there. And if I turn, it tells me now you're not turning, you're turning off there, and you can see the airport there. This is a 30-degree turn. This is a 40. You can see different levels of turn. This is a 45-degree turn. You generally don't want to go much more than that, or you're now going into more extreme maneuvers. There's Lake Mendocino, which should be much more dry.
Yeah.
But you can see, here's Ukiah.
Oh.
So now there's another thing, another flight control called a flap. Oh, there's the oh yeah, look, see, there's where it turns, and there's those businesses out there. So a flap is something that comes down from the wing, and it slows it makes more lift by doing like this. If you were to go in your car and you do this outside the window, you know, like that, your hands would go up. The flap is used to control what's called the camber of the wing. It makes the wing bigger, and it makes it have more lift. And by doing that, what it does is it slows the airplane down. You can fly slower. So watch what I'm gonna do. Now I'm in what's called the flap zone. I can put a flap in here. So I'm gonna do that. Immediately, it raises the airplane, but also it means that I can go a lot slower. The plane is gonna stay in the air. Okay. And we can see that. Okay, see the flaps right there? Okay. Those are flaps. They're gonna keep me flying slower. So I'm gonna put another set of flaps in. Nose comes up, and the airplane is almost at a stall. So I'm gonna put the nose down a little bit so I can get some more airspeed. But you see, this plane is now flying really slow. And you put your flaps in when you're ready to land, right? Put your flaps in. So.
And they both go at the same time?
Yes, they do.
On either side?
Right.
So
Otherwise,
yeah.
right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my flap up, one of them, and watch what happens. It lowers the nose. So you have to be kind of careful and really know what the effect of that flaps is. Now, as you see, when that flaps come in, it's not causing as much drag on the plane, and I'm actually going faster. Now I'm going to turn a kind of a radical turn here, left really quickly, and this is called turning around a point, where the plane is actually turning around a point like this. And it's a maneuver that you have to learn how to do. Once you master it, look at that. Right? So one of the things I wanted to demonstrate to you is the fact that the airplane can be balanced. So watch what I'm going to do. We're about 2,500 feet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to balance the airplane out. So I'm not going to I'm going to give it enough speed so it stays in the ground. Stays in the air. I'm going to give it a little bit of pitch. Okay. So I'm going to take my hands off of my feet off of the rudder, and the plane will just naturally go in the same direction it's going in, And now you see I'm just controlling the airspeed, and this is what's called trimming the airplane out. An airplane wants to go straight and level. It just wants to go like this. This thing can go this
Like
far.
autopilot almost.
Almost like that. And well, I don't have a trim control for my rudder, so I'm just gonna touch the rudder a little bit. But look, this airplane is just gonna stay. Look, it's right at 2,500 feet. It's losing a little bit, so if it loses a little bit, I just give it a little bit of nudge, more throttle.
So how many miles is going?
We're flying now at 80 knots, or about
80 knots,
about
like that.
75 miles an hour, 73 miles an hour.
How fast could it go? This is
76.
76.
Yeah, this is not a very fast plane,
Oh, is
but
this-
I can get it to go faster.
Okay.
And what I would do,
Could we like practice like the one that Joe has? That way when we get in Joe.
this is what Joe has.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
this will perform exactly.
Okay. This is exactly what Joe has.
I
Okay.
see. This is telling me that there's terrain close,
Okay.
so this is a nice feature.
Mm.
We were flying around Lake Mendocino.
Okay. So could we take to Shelter Cove? How it look
Sure.
like? Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's go to Shelter Cove.
Yeah, they went to Shelter Cove
All right.
this week.
Let's pause here, and what I could do is
Click on the map and boom.
click on the map, and I would give it the Shelter Cove. Excuse me, just a moment.
It's exciting. So you can see on this how it is like Shelter Cove. See, it
Alright,
looks the
so,
same. Like,
Shelter Cove.
Uh-huh.
Every place has a designator. Shelter Cove is 0Q5, so I can just go like this, change my location, and I'm gonna just go shelter. SHELT. There it is. Shelter Cove OQ5. So now I'm going to start a new flight, and what you'll see is that this moving map display will actually
You put in
go there. But
Cessna
one of the
style.
things that's really interesting is you see
Uh-huh.
this is because we're flying close to Ukiah Municipal. It tells me this is Ukiah. These are the radios, the settings. Here's the airport information, and so on. But here we'll go to Shelter Cove. We'll start that flight right there. Start a new flight, and it'll start right at right
From
here
where?
in Shelter Cove.
Oh, this is in Shelter. Oh, so this is from Shelter Cove.
Yeah,
Okay, so I guess from Shelter Cove we're taking off back to Lake County.
we could.
Okay, we do that.
we could, and so it'll take us actually about an hour.
Okay.
But we could set it up.
Yeah.
And what I could do
Let's do
is, like, I would go here and I would set fly direct to Lamson Field, which is
Lansing Lake Park.
102. There it is, Lamson Field.
Okay.
And so my moving map display now tells me, okay, here we are at Shelter Grove. This tells me my altitude, and where I need to go. So let's take off.
Okay.
And one of the things to note that is that when you are on the ground, the rudders operate a little bit differently, because I said, you don't do this on the ground. It means nothing to the airplane, right? Right? But the rudders are left and right, right? So you use the rudders on the ground to go left and right, and then if you press down here, it's a brake. So you brake differentially. You brake if you want the whole thing to brake really suddenly, you push down on both.
Okay.
Otherwise, if I wanted to go a really tight turn here, I would brake this like a tank or a tractor, and it would just go like this. So let's just start.
I see.
I'm just gonna go like this, off pause. Okay, I'm actually what I do is I'm gonna look around.
It's Shelter Cove.
Okay, and take off the brakes. And now you see, I'm turning the plane with the rudder, and I'm controlling the speed. See that?
And the propeller is
Right.
the one's moving you forward.
Yeah, that's what's getting us forward. See, I've just put on the brakes. I'm gonna release the brakes, and so the plane is going forward on its own. And then I'm gonna just taxi over here to the runway. And see, it's just I'm doing it with the rudder. And I'm going to slow down a little bit. And I can look out.
Like the ocean, I think.
I'm going to line up with the runway. Okay. And I'm going to break for a second and pause. Because what I want to do is I want to set up my track, which is true is 139. To get there, I have to go 139. So I'm going to set up my compass bug here at 139. Let's hold it down. Come on, thing.
Did you actually physically click on it or something?
Yeah, you have to actually in the air.
Yeah.
I don't have that control here, but I'm just doing it with the simulator. Come on, let me just move that down. I should probably do it now. There it is. I want to get it over to 139 right there. So there we go. Here's 20. And that's close enough. And I'll adjust as I go up. So I want to set my altimeter and so on. These are things. That tells me where I want to actually point the nose of the plane. And once we get in the air, I'll go to that compass heading. So let's do this now. Oh, come on. All right. So I'm going to take off. And the airplane is going to, I've got full throttle now. At 65 knots, the wings will start to create lift.
Naturally, or?
And you don't want to pull the plane up before then. At 65 knots, that's good. Now I can gently pull up on the nose, and the airplane is flying. And you can see, this is you can look out and see what's going on here. So as I come around, I want to turn to that compass heading as fast as I can, and this shows me I would rather be out over the ocean turning than all those mountains. so that's what it's safer. You always want to do safe, and while you're flying, you're always looking at the terrain and thinking about, if this thing is going to crash, where am I going to set it down?
Yeah,
So
that's what you do with horses too. When you're driving, you're always looking for if you got a runaway.
Okay. There he goes. Look, see, now I've got that compass heading there. Okay, I got to it, and it's pretty close to where I want to go. I'm going to actually set the compass heading a little bit more like that. So it's telling me I want to do 138. That's good. So now look, I can then set an autopilot, and I say I want you, autopilot, to go on that heading. All right. So now all I have to do is just control the altitude. It's holding the heading for me.
Do all planes have that in runway?
Nope, not all of them. Joe's plane has autopilot, I think.
Okay.
And it really helps with your flight management. But as you can see here, this red line is on the moving map is where the course actually should be. So it tells me that, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust the course a little bit, just by little increments, and you'll see the plane start moving towards that course that I want it to be at. There, see, now it's aligned. And now, this red is telling me that I'm going to run into some terrain. This is 4,600 feet, and I'm at 2,500 feet, 2,200 feet, which is fine. I'm climbing out, and because I'm climbing, I'm not getting a lot of airspeed. In fact, right now I'm at 75 miles per hour. But the plane is in good shape. It's climbing at 1,000 feet per second, per minute. I don't want it to go much higher than that. And you can see how good this thing is. You can see I love this reflections and the ground and the water.
Especially when you're flying, you can't really see the front, huh?
No, you can't. Although you can do this.
I think I see Joe put his seat up close.
Yeah, you can bring the seat up, and in the simulator you can do something like this. Bring it closer or farther away. That's about as far.
So I guess in real life you actually don't see what's in front of you unless you sit up a little bit.
Well, no, actually, right now the reason why we can't see is because the airplane is like this.
Yeah.
But you'll see that when we're stopped climbing, I want to get up to about 5,000
So
feet.
you're still climbing.
I'm still climbing, right? The airplane's like this, but when it levels off, you'll be able to see much more. But also, I can look out.
Does it help to be taller? So
No,
you can see up over?
not really. So I can look all around the cockpit and see where I am in the world. So I'm still climbing, and this is what I want to do. This is what we call the flight management, and I'm going to push a little bit more. But, we are on our way, and it's going to take us about 50 minutes or so. I'm still climbing, like I said. I'm only making about 76 miles per hour, and I've still got quite a ways to go before I have a problem with that terrain. And in fact, just for giggles, let's pull this back a little bit and full rich. Now see, I'm not climbing as much, and we'll also see our airspeed start to increase. I just knocked my autopilot out, but that's okay. I'm just going to stay at that compass heading. Notice that when I put my nose down a little bit, see the airspeed is starting to increase. Now we're getting to 85 miles per hour. And a good thing to do is to keep in mind, say, okay, that peak, that's where I'm going to go. So you keep that in your mind. You keep that in your field of vision. And as you can see, I'm starting to lose a little bit of altitude. If I want to level off there, I can level off there now. I'm at 91 miles an hour. I can push some more throttle going. And as you can see, now I'm starting to get more lift. Trim this out a little bit. And now we're cooking. We're at about 99, almost 100 miles per hour.
So it take about, according to this, how many more minutes to get to?
This will take us about 40
more minutes.
40 minutes.
How long took Joe? Like 30 minutes? I think it's too quick.
Pardon?
Uh-huh.
Pardon?
I think
The
Joe.
About 50 minutes. Oh.
How long it took Joe? It was like 40 minutes. 30 minutes?
Yeah. See,
Probably went quick.
it'll take us about that amount of time.
Yeah.
The airplane is going to perform the way it normally does, and he's going to want to what's called lean it out and get it trued. And so here we're going now. This is ground speed. Airspeed, we're almost 120 miles an hour. This is 112 knots. So
once you're
your
up there,
speed over the ground
Yeah.
is different from your speed in the air, right?
Yeah, because you don't have
So,
road.
so yeah, we can take this flight, and we literally would fly it. I'm gonna actually put my.
At about 100 miles an hour is what it goes.
Yeah. Well, the
But this
airplane can go.
particular
This
plane-
particular plane can go about 100. About 120. About 120 if you're gonna be
pushing it.
safe, right? And you want to decrease that a little bit so that you get better fuel flow. Okay. But just for giggles, we can change that. and we can fly just about anything you want to.
So let's
Oh, really?
land.
You could change
Yeah, we could
planes.
fly. Yeah,
Different-
we can change planes.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
can
What a neat gadget you
Right?
have here.
yeah, we can fly military planes, seaplanes.
You could fly the Baron that I wanted.
helicopters.
They have a Baron too, right? That one.
Yeah, they have the Baron. In fact, let's take off. Let's take off from the Baron from the same.
Oh
from
yeah, the
same
Baron would be
place.
faster. Okay.
Much faster.
Okay.
So let's do that and take off from
That's
Shelter
the Baron
Cove this
my
time.
friend Marv want to sell.
Can I try?
You want
Can I try to
Yeah.
fly out somehow?
Oh, sure.
Okay, you can try
Sure.
the Baron.
Well,
The Baron-
okay. The Baron is a
Complicated.
monster.
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah. The,
two engines.
2 jet engines.
No, two
Move faster.
propellers.
Okay.
Colors.
Two propellers.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let me. You can. All right. Sit it. All right. So.
Let's see.